G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Prado 120 Adventures. Today it's a bit of a wet and horrible day up in the Perth Hills, but we're going to be enjoying a rainy afternoon up here in the Perth Hills, but we're heading out to film anyway because, you know, that's how we are. So I am putting together a video. This was actually requested by an Instagram follower of what gear do I want when I go forward driving and camping. There are a lot of different options out there, and there are a lot of videos which will tell you different opinions on what you need, but I wanted to do a video on what you want. So this is 7 items that you want when you go camping. So stay tuned and we'll head out to our super secret filming location. So I just want to reiterate that the items you're going to see today aren't something that you need for living the outdoor lifestyle, camping, forward driving, all that kind of stuff. They're things which I've acquired over time and added to my setup, which really bring me joy every time I go camping, and I wanted to share that list with you. So if you see something here, you don't need it, but it may be something you might want to work towards in the future. So the first item on that list is this one here. So this is a pop-up silicon lightweight kettle made by a brand called Companion. So this is sold at places like BCF, Anaconda, that sort of thing. I really enjoy it because I used to have one of those old like tin kettles. Took about 2.5 liters or whatever. It was always quite bulky, and trying to pack it into things with like a handle and as a round object and things, it was always difficult. Whereas this, boom, packs down to something nice and small. I really like this thing. It is a little bit more expensive to buy. I think they're around $60. But every time you use it, you'll definitely enjoy it. So that's definitely the number one on my list. So the second thing I want to talk about is having a 12-volt water system on board. If you're just starting out, definitely bring some water containers with you, a jerry can, whatever, so that you can obviously have water when you go out bush. If you want to take it to the next level, and something which I always get a bit of a kick out of every time I use, is having a 12-volt setup. I get asked a lot about this setup on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. What is it? How does it work? Everything in there. Most of the details for that sort of thing are in my rig rundown video, so I'll post a link to that up here somewhere, and you can give that a watch and it will go through more in depth of basically what it is. So essentially it's a water container up there, it's a 12-volt pump on the back of the drawers, all the lines run through the car out to this point. So out here I've got a 12-volt switch up the back for the pump, and then a laundry faucet outlet from Bunnings that comes out here, swings around, nice and easy to use. And the good thing is, whenever you want to fill your kettle up, instead of having a trundle with a massive big 20-litre jerry can of water, simply grab your kettle, put the switch on, and you can easily fill up your kettle for a nice afternoon cuppa. So the third thing I want to tell you about is the camping stove that I use. A lot of people will just use the basic butane burner stoves that you can pick up, 20-30 bucks. It's a really simple setup, easy way to go. You will find the limitations of those quite easily, and they burn through the butane like there's no tomorrow. What the setup I have, I think, is probably the best, yeah, I'll call it, it's the best stove I can find for my setup. So this here is a Coleman even temp stove. So this here runs off of 2 different fuels. You can run it off of propane or propane canisters, or you can run it off of your normal bottle of LPG like your barbecue at home. I really like these. These are, at the moment, I think the top of the wazoo are what Coleman will sell you for a gas stove. And honestly, I've had a look at a lot of other stoves to see what else could work. Haven't found anything that works half as well as what this does, and it's just so practical. Again, a little bit of overkill compared to your normal little stoves, but for our setup and for something that you use every time and you just go, oh, that's so easy, this is definitely the way to go. So just set her up. Literally that's up. In this bag you have a griddle. So this one here I just keep pre-oiled, leave it in this bag which it comes with, and that then can sit on top of there. Or you can leave it open and use your saucepans and stuff as you normally would. So it has a little drip tray here for the griddle. So obviously that just sits on the side like so, and the griddle sits on top so everything ends up in there. And this here is a little gas regulator. So this is what you'll run it off of. So these are the common propane bottles. There are different brands you can get which use the same fittings and bits and pieces, but these are the best to use, I reckon. So it's got a little rubber cap on the top. Just plugs into the side. And then you screw your gas bottle in. And just like that, you've got an electric start as well. You don't have to do the hard clickers, but you've got 3 burners you can use. So essentially hold the clicker down, got your spark, and there's your gas. And we're ready to make a cuppa. I just had to quickly run out. The rain started coming down a bit heavier than before, so I thought that would be a good little segue to show you number 4 on my list, which is these wall extensions for the Foxwing awning. Again, if you have a different brand of 270-degree awning, then you'll probably get walls like this for your awning. But for these ones, I can tell you, it changes the way you camp if you're able to close off an area like this. So this is just a single wall. I've got 2 walls, but I'm only going to put one up today. But essentially you can imagine enclosing here and here. You make a nice little alcove for your kitchen and your kind of living area while you're camping. Keeps that bit of rain off, creates a wind barrier. It's also good because under here you can still put like tables or swags or anything, and you can still keep all your floor space. So while it's not something that's really necessary for when you're going camping, definitely is a bit of a game changer if you've got an awning like this and you want to make your setup that much better. So item number 5 on the list is this one here. This is a pop-up fire pit. It's from a brand called Fireside Outdoor. I picked this one up from BCF probably about a year ago, and honestly it's the best thing ever. I've thought about getting the other fire pits, but this is just next level. You don't need a fire pit to go camping. You can always just make a fire wherever you go, but I think this gives you a better fire overall. So this is it all packed up. Velcro straps. This is the frame. Boom. Now this is a stainless steel mesh. This is what you'll build the fire on. So that goes down at the 4 corners. And then you have your walls. And that's the fire pit all set up ready to go. So because it sits off the ground, you get this great airflow coming through underneath from this mesh. Hello. What are you doing? You as well. So because you get all this airflow, you get a really nice hot fire. You get very minimal smoke and ash from this as well because it burns nice and hot with lots of oxygen. It's a nice big area, it's nice and low, it's really like stable, so you're not going to kick it over. And yeah, I can't think of a better pop-up campfire that I've used before. Well, to be honest, I haven't used any of them before, but I've seen a few others in use, and while they're pretty good, they just look heavy and bulky when they're packed up and all the rest of it. Whereas this one packs up quite small, it's really light, and this mesh here is a lot stronger than you think it is. I was really worried about building and putting big logs on top of it, but I think this is it's like weight rated to something like 60 pounds. So I'll put the conversion up on the screen of what that is, but it's heaps, way more than what you think it is. So this is definitely something which I think takes your campsite to the next level. makes you enjoy camping that little bit more. And every time I get this out and use it, I just have this big grin on my face going, this thing's cool, I love it. Another great benefit of having a fire pit like this one is that in places where you're not allowed to have like a fire on the ground, they'll allow you to have a fire inside a fire pit because it's a much more controlled environment. So if you bring your own firewood, you bring this along, more than likely you'll be allowed to use it in a lot more places than you can otherwise have a fire, which is a massive big tick in my book. Number 6. If you haven't experienced the amazingness of sleeping in a rooftop tent after you've been camping, or when you're going camping and after you've been forward driving, you can get to some amazing locations, and all you have to do is pop the lid of your tent, crawl up there, and you can go straight to bed. Listen to the sound of the waves or a babbling brook or the wind through the trees. It is just amazing. So number 6 on my list is a hard shell or a clamshell style rooftop tent. These honestly is probably the best thing I've ever done camping wise. I've had a tent, I've had a swag, we've done all that before. We had a soft canvas rooftop tent, and this is just next level compared to what I had before. Here I have an Alucab, I think it's a Gen 2 or a Gen 3 tent. If you want to see the full story of how I got that, check out the link, which is up there, one of those corners, which will go through the process I went to get this tent and to set it up for what I wanted for. So, but you don't have to go with an Alucab. It could be any like a Bushman's, or it could be like a Camp King or whatever. But if you move to a hard shell rooftop tent, it just takes you to that next level. Every time I get into this thing, I just smile and go, this is the life. It's amazing. So the 7th and final thing I wanted to tell you about was having a solar setup. Setting up a solar system. So setting up solar into your 12-volt system isn't a necessarily cheap option, but it definitely does give the benefits once you've got it all set up. So whereas before I could only go 1 or 2 days off the grid before I'd need to run the car, now I can pretty much be off the grid entirely. As long as that gets some sun during the day, I can run the fridge, I can run my lights, I can run everything else in the car as long as I want out the bush, which is excellent. Thank you very much for watching, guys and girls. This episode was good fun to make because I could go through all my gear and pick out the things which really brought me joy, and I think that kind of helped me out a bit, and hopefully giving this list for you guys will help you guys out as well. So I'm going to go and drive this gnarly rocky hill to try and make my way out of here, and hopefully don't have to crack the winch out. But thanks a lot, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.